Hey everybody, Nick here, and today we're going to do a little disassembly and maintenance on this little guy right here. This is the Peña Knives X-Series Diesel. This is the thumb stud model. There is also a flipper model, but I'm not going to disassemble the flipper model. So, the same damn thing, except one's got a little piece of metal here. I mean, look, one's got a piece of metal here, one's got a piece of metal here. It works out, right? The big question, the immediate question, the terrifying thing is whether Reate has thread locked this knife shut. That is something that Reate does on a infrequent basis. And it's always terrifying. Free spinning screw. All right. And let's see here. That's a T9 or T8? What are we looking at there? That is T9. I'm actually going to go ahead and switch to a T9 bit because unfortunately Reate also tends to have relatively soft screws. So I'll go ahead and do that. And then we will see if we can get this guy popped loose. This was a big problem with the Reate Peña Lanny's clip I had on my table at some point in time here. There we go. Okay, it's coming loose here. So it's free spinning, but it's not thread locked shut, which is good. They appear to have put on some kind of a thread locker, but it is a much lighter affair, and that's great. So I'll put that off to the side for the moment. And then we will go ahead and start disassembling the rest of this. Is this also T9? No. Is that T8? Maybe. Let's see. That is T8. I'd love seeing T8 being used for scale screws here. Just because T8 is it's a size that is more reasonable in my estimation. All right, is this, should be able to lift this off. Because the problem right now is that I know that there are 2 additional screws in here along the backside that are actually holding the damn knife together. So it should just be a question of identifier of lifting this piece off here, and that should let me get all the way through. Okay, pop that loose. Now, this carbon fiber needs to lift up off of this. Is this adhered somehow? That's a really weird situation. Why is this not coming loose? I'm wondering if this is glued in place or something. Because, yeah, that's really bizarre. Really? Here, I'm going to try and put some tension on this carbon fiber in this direction. Okay, hold on. Stop it. Let me think real quick before I do any brute force here. What could be holding this guy together? What could be making this impossible to do? It could be that they have glued this carbon fiber piece down, and that's going to prevent me from doing anything else. That's not great, but it's a possibility. It could be that it's just stuck on there with like some thread locker or something like that. There are no screws that are going into this carbon fiber. There could be locator pins, though. That's a possibility, that there are little tiny pins that are embedded in here, such that trying to slide it off will not work, but trying to lift it off might. But in that case, it's just going to be a royal pain in my neck because the fit of this is very good. It's really hard to get all up under there. This is not coming loose. So I'm just going to go ahead and assume it's been glued into place or something along those lines. So we're going to try a different tack here. Do I like this? No, not really. But at the same time, it is the situation. And rather than trying to, pry this loose or something like that, I'm going to take a different tack for maintenance here. There was no thread locker, but then something else had to happen, right? What I'm going to try and do instead here is to treat this guy like an integral knife. Basically, I will try, and by the way, I'm just using some thread locker there, and if you're curious about the tools I'm using for my disassemblies, go ahead and check out nickshabazz.com/tools, and that'll highlight the kinds of stuff that I'm using here. But okay, what I'm hoping I can do here is push this pivot out, and then that will effectively allow me to, hopefully I can slide the handle out, or I'm sorry, slide the blade out, and that'll let me get in there and clean, because the main reason that I feel like I need to be doing this, let me use something a little bit more, here we go, is that the action is not running amazingly. It's just a little slow. And lately, a couple of Reates I've had have been shipped with weird, thick grease, and so, Huh. Need like a freaking arbor press or something like that to make this happen. Can I press this out? I know for a fact that this is a free spinning pivot here. But there feels like there's a fair amount of gunk in there that's kind of preventing it from sliding out. The other question is whether I'm okay. I'm not loving this situation at all, but another thing that I can try and do here is actually to pop off the pocket clip here. Maybe what that'll do... Did I just go the wrong direction here? Yeah, I did. Maybe what this will let me do is actually get... Once I pull out the pocket clip, that will allow me to get under this carbon fiber on this side. Maybe whatever's gluing down the first one isn't gluing down the second one here. That'll allow me to get under there, and if these screws are going into both sides, that should allow me to lift the carbon fiber, to lift the pivot off. And because this is the bolster lock side, on this side I can actually get up under the carbon fiber. Okay, so this appears to be how this has been done. That's really counterintuitive. All right, 6 minutes in, we're good to go. I'm going to leave this in right now. Like, there's a big part of me that's like, you idiot, edit this out. But I'm going to leave this in because I want people to see the problem solving, I guess, that went in there. But here's what just happened. I lifted this guy off. This is not glued into place or anything like that, but because it's a bolster lock, there are these locating pins, by the way, which I'd suspected, which were preventing me from sliding this guy off. So these here go into holes in the back of the carbon fiber here. And then underneath here, I've got my little screws that I can get in there with what look like T6. Here, I'll make that bet, sure, T6. And that should allow me to pop this guy the rest of the way loose here. So it could be that the front side is actually epoxied on. Or some, well, I don't know that it's epoxy. What the heck do I know? But Captain Materials Science over here. But no, it could be that the front side is adhered on in a meaningful way. And this is, by the way, a plastic spudger that I'm just using to get up in there and pry a little bit. Because that'll hopefully let me lift this off here. And that will hopefully... Yeah, okay, good. So I've popped loose there. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the blade in so it's out of play. And then I'm going to use this little guy to pry that the rest of the way loose. And there we go. I should now be able to, I hope, get this up in here. And slowly but surely lift the scale the rest of the way off. Come on. I am so damn close here, yet so damn far. Can I pop the pivot loose now? No, I can't. Okay. So let's go ahead and just keep prying here. I'm using, again, a plastic spudger here because that's just easier. Try and get up inside there. Oh, wait, I've got the lanyard hole area. That'll let me do some prying up in here. It's not a great area for access, but I can do this. I am so close now. There we go. We are popped loose. So what I should be able to do is lift this top part off. Okay, beautiful. I don't see any evidence of other screws or anything like that going on in here, so, we can assume then that, the other side is just glued in place or something, but still. Oh, there we go. Okay, so now, after that little 9-minute odyssey, we are aware. So if you are watching this at home, the most important things to take away from this disassembly so far are that A, I am #not a brilliant man. I should have just started from the other side. Yeah, but the other thing, though, is that you should always just start from the clip side. On this particular knife, there is just no reason to go, to take off that show side scale. It doesn't win you a damn thing. And so we can see here, it's got some earwax or something or another in there as lubrication. That was my concern. This is a knife with a very nice action, but the action felt like it was being held back a little bit. So hopefully by getting in here and cleaning out whatever gunk that is, I should be able to clear this up. It's a toothpick soaked with isopropyl alcohol, which I'm using to clean this knife. And just kind of getting up in there. But my hope is that the action will now be even quicker and freer now that I've gotten in there and cleaned out all of the earwax or whatever else is being used to assemble this guy. All right. Let's go ahead and pop this loose. There is always the question of efficiency versus problem solving in this. I mean, I could certainly 100% go back and edit out that entire first chunk, but the problem then becomes that, you know, everybody thinks that this is easy, and so when they take a knife apart, they're going to go like, oh, well, okay, you know, clearly all you need to, and so maybe there's some value to keeping that thinking process in there for some people. Or at the very least, it serves as a cautionary tale. Because if I just say, you know, make sure you start from this, the clip side, people are going to be like, okay, yeah, whatever, and then they'll start from the other side. But if I say, you know, bro, come on, you saw what happened here, that might actually carry a little bit more weight for people. I don't know. It's tough to say. All right, clear that off. This is pretty much good to go. Clean that off. Beautiful detent ball ramp going on right here. That's nice. Now I need to pop this pivot through. It's kind of blowing me away that this pivot isn't popping through. Because, dude. There we go. Oh, look at that. It's pressed in, and then they've just epoxied a screw or something in there on the other side. That's how that's working. So that's why it doesn't want to, it's just a really tight fit, and then they're using this, okay. That's weird. Whatever. Hopefully I can get this the rest of the way. You know, maybe I don't need to. It probably doesn't matter. I'll just make sure I clean that off a little bit. This is good to go. Ceramic detent ball, ceramic bearings. Nice. Is this going to fight me now? Pushing this back into place? Yeah. All right. Let's go ahead and drop this into position here. Well, drop this into position. I'm literally cleaning something. I'm wiping it. There is nothing being dropped into no positions. You'll see here there is no over-travel stop here, but that's because this is a bolster lock, so the entirety of the carbon fiber panel will serve as your over-travel stop, which is fine. Okay, so reassembly. I'm going to use some 5-weight or 10-weight nano oil here, and get this pivot nice and coated. Over lubricate this knife substantially. That's just the way I roll, right? Pop that in there. Okay. Man, that was weird. The funny thing is, like, okay, so I have in my head, because I've done this altogether more than is healthy, this being disassembling pocket knives, I have in my head this set of maxims, basically, by which I should, you know, disassemble things. A set of just generalizations that are often true when disassembling a pocket knife, but are not always true. And these include things like you very often, when there is a simpler set of screws on one side, so for instance, if it's easier to take off the clip, if it's just 2 screws from the front, very often the knife will be disassembled from the front. As opposed to on this guy, where you would have to take out the clip as well, that adds a layer of complexity to things. And so, you know, I took that as I took that as a presupposition, if you will, in this disassembly, and it burned me, because that wasn't actually the way that this knife was being designed to be taken apart. But yeah. Okay, so I'm now lubricated. That's good. Let's see here. I'm currently looking at this washer. Okay, I see a little tiny bit of groove on this side, so that means that that's the side that the bearings have been rolling up against. I don't think it would actually matter if I flipped it over, but at the same time, it's better that I do. just because if I flip it over, it'll have to wear a new groove. I don't know. At the very least, it's a good idea to try and keep things where you can, like you found them. Okay, now this is going to be a fun part here, because what I have to do is drop this on such that all of these screws basically go, or all of these positioning pins go into position alongside the pivot. So one step is going to be to getting that pivot seated. And in addition to having the pivot seated, maybe it'll be better to do this with the blade in. Okay. So now my pivot is popped into position. Now I need to get these guys all pressed into place. Actually, that went way smoother than I expected it to. That's good. Okay. What else am I forgetting here? I'm looking here. I have all my bearings. That's good. Shouldn't take that for granted, right? Let me go ahead and put in the pivot here before I go too much further, just because I want to get that adjusted before I reinstall everything. Let's go ahead and gently twist this into position here. Okay. Way too loose. So where is my T9 bit? Now let's see if I can... I cannot tighten this any further without it free spinning on me. All right. Here, I'll go ahead and put this in position just so I'm not... does that matter? No. Okay, good. Yeah, that's definitely too loose in the pivot, so I need my other screwdriver, T9. Insert that here. And we just counter rotate. That might do it. Still way, way too loose. Okay. Let's continue. There we go. Now we're cranking. That's still too loose. Okay. I see. We are now dead center. Good action. All right. For the moment, that's close enough. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is reinstall the screws on the handle here. Because right now, I'm in a vulnerable position. Not only having looked like an idiot trying to disassemble it the first time, but because I don't have any of my other handle screws in place. So I'm going to go ahead and reinstall those. Where are my P6 here? All right, beautiful. I don't technically need any thread locker on these because they're going underneath something. Even if they do come out, they're not going to go far, but I'm going to go ahead and do it anyways because I don't know when the next time I'm going to be up in here is going to be. So that's a good question. Anyways, I digress. Oh, come on. And I dropped the screw. Where are you, screw? A very crucial part of your disassembly toolkit will always be a flashlight, because flashlights can show you where little tiny screws are, even on carpeted floors. Come here, screw. Are you still on the table? That's a possibility as well. All right. Guys, this is just not going super well for me. And gals. No matter who you are, I'm not looking so swinging. All righty. There it is. Hey, hallelujah. Oh boy. I believe this is my last disassembly of the evening. One of those nights where if I drank, I'd drink. Yeah. Alrighty. So now the next step is going to be to pop in the screws. One thing that I've done over here is I'm using this mat. This mat happens to have a set of subdividers that basically show me how everything is arranged inside this knife. And so what I can see here is that I've arranged my screws. That's T9. I need T8 now. Where is my T8 bit? Are you at D? No, you're T9 still. You are T8. All right, beautiful. I've arranged my screws, I believe, in the order they came off of the knife. There we go. Come on. Just comparing lengths here. So I believe this one's going here. One way to tell is to look inside the knife and make sure that there's not a screw protruding out through. There is not. Okay. A little bit of play still. So once I get everything sort of locked down here, I'll do a little bit more twisting on the pivot there. I can't say that this has been a super satisfying disassembly. Just in that I am being fought damn near every step of the way by this process. The free spinning pivot thing is just annoying. I really hope that Reate stops doing that at some point. Like, I get that there are difficulties in making parts that don't do that, but guys, you're killing me. Just slowly but surely. Like someday you'll be standing at my grave. You'll look on the headstone, it'll say, Nick Shabazz. Free spinning pivots killed him. All right. Tighten that a little further. Okay, no blade play, dead centered. Everything seems to be in position. There are no gaps or anything along the sides here. You're going to think I'm completely nuts. Well, I am completely nuts, so that's probably why you're going to think that. But nevertheless, I'm going to try and loosen it up just a very slight hair here. Ah, you bastard. Okay. There we go. See, the reason I did that is because, I don't know, after a while you get the feeling, coming back to weird intuitive things you develop after doing this too damn much, you get the feeling of like this is a little tighter than it wants to be. And so that was a little tighter than it wanted to be, and so I wanted to take it, just dial it back a tad. Just half a metric smidge, if you will. But anyways, the knife is now, if I go the right direction, absolutely drop-shotty. Action is smoother. That was a royal pain in my neck, but that's okay. I got through it, and we got through it together. Hopefully it was a bonding experience, sort of like a hazing, where David Deng himself, that of course being the founder of Reate, has, you know, participated. But hopefully you feel closer to me now through this process, and mostly I'm hoping that you have yourselves just an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. Bye now.